Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio. We're live. You know what to do by now. Get involved in the comments and the chat. We're going to be talking about Jadon Sancho. We're going to be talking about Antony. We're going to be talking about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. There's loads to get through, so make sure you are getting involved. If you're not doing already, subscribe to the channel and also hit that like button as well. In terms of like news lately at Manchester United, it's not exactly a happy camp, is it? Most of the stories we have seems to be sort of negative ones. It seems to be one little bit of a drama after another. There's a lot for Erik ten Hag to deal with. Thankfully, I say thankfully, we've got this sort of break, 2 week, it's 2 weeks, isn't it? International break. So maybe, fingers crossed, and get our sort of house in order a little bit. So by the time we come back for the Brighton game, we're good and ready to go. I say maybe, hopefully, but you never know. Brian Casey, morning Jay. Rebecca Jade O'Sullivan, morning Jay. Jacoya Trot, morning Jay. Glazers out. S&K Shoe says, you guys always like to blame the players and talk negative about them. Put yourself in their shoes. If you were in the same position or situation, you just talk and try to create content. Right, for starters, I don't think any of us can be accused of not backing players on this channel. We always back our players, and we have done that consistently since the full-time Devils days. Also, in terms of creating content, this is the Paper Talk. We're going to talk about what is the papers. We're going to talk about what is in the paper, sorry. We're going to talk about what is happening in Manchester United news. There's no point in ignoring it and pretending it ain't happening, because that would be a dereliction of duty, in my opinion. So we are going to talk about it, and you're more than entitled to your opinion, and I'll share you mine as well. Laura Baker says, morning Jay. Morning Laura. James Swibanks say, g'day Jay. Naomi Murphy, morning. Loads of people say morning Jay. Jermaine, Rutters, Juice, Loose, 9. Great to see so many people in the comments. Make sure you are hitting that like button, please, people. Right, let's start with Antony. We had the statement from the Brazilian Federation. I think that was, I want to say Monday night. I think, is it Monday or Tuesday? I'm getting a bit mixed up, but earlier on in the week, shall we say, we had the statement from the Brazilian Federation, I feel it was Monday, where he was basically dropped from the Brazil squad after the allegations from his ex-partner of domestic abuse. Then we had the statement from Antony on Instagram, where he defended himself and said the allegations were false. We had a statement from Manchester United yesterday, which basically said, we're aware of the allegations, and the short and long of it is we're not doing anything at this moment in time. We're not acting upon it. We're just sort of monitoring it or looking at it or waiting. You know, there's no action being taken by the club at this moment. It was a bit of a nothing statement, really. It was more a statement saying, we know these allegations and we're going to wait and see if anything develops. Now, there's been a little bit of a twist. This sort of came last night. I've seen this elsewhere. This has been doing the rounds, by the way, this story, rumblings about this story, rumours, whatever you want to call it, for a few weeks. We were hearing that there was something was going to pop off with Antony and his ex-missus, and that she was going to make these claims. I don't think it was sort of like a revelation when they came out. There was a lot of rumours that it was going to happen. We just didn't know the sort of the ins and outs of it all. Now we do, in terms of her accusations. Obviously, he's denying them. So you can see it here in the Mail. It says, there's Chris Wheeler, who was on the channel a few weeks ago. It says, Man United are accused of covering up £85 million star Antony's assault allegations by ex-girlfriend's lawyers as she leaks WhatsApp messages and claims she was treated by team doctors, but club insists her claims are categorically false. So this is a very serious allegation here, because she's saying that the club knew about what he'd done to her, what she's accusing him of doing to her, and they helped cover it up. Now that takes this all to a new level, if it's true. At the moment, we don't know it is. So we have to say that. We have to be, objective here and say we don't know if it's true. She's obviously making these allegations. She's now saying that the club knew about it. The club are denying it. We will wait and see what happens with this. It says the bombshell accusation has been made by Gabriela Cavallin and her lawyers to Sao Paulo Civil Police, who are investigating the allegations of assault alongside Greater Manchester Police. United described any suggestion of a cover-up as categorically false on Wednesday night. So that would be massive. It's one thing if it's the player and only the player that knew about, that committed these crimes, if he is guilty, and knew about it and kept his mouth shut or whatever. If the club covered it up, then there's going to be huge repercussions. Now, I have to stress, the club are saying it's categorically false. They're saying they didn't know about it. So we can't say that they did, because they're denying it and all you've got is accusations at the moment. I'm saying if the club did, there's a lot of people that are going to be in big, big trouble. But at the moment, it is just if. So we don't know. We'll see what happens with it. We know that Antony's not been suspended or anything like that. He's still a Manchester United player, still able to play for Manchester United, the club. Haven't suspended him. We'll have to wait and see how this develops. It's just not a good look, is it? It's not great at the moment, Manchester United, for a multitude of reasons. And this story, I don't even like calling it a story because it probably doesn't do justice. It's just really deflating now. We'll wait and see what happens. But as always, we'll keep you posted and we'll keep you updated if there are any developments. And the club may, in future, depending on what happens in terms of whether there's more sort of, whether the police take action, whether there's anything else that comes to light, they may have to do something about it. But at the moment, they're just saying we're aware and we don't feel like we have to act just yet. Right, let's have a look here. Destino, Portugal, I'll have a look in the chat and the comments, says, morning Jay, how's the weather there apart from the storm clouds over MUFC? Yeah, good point. It's weird because it was raining this morning, but it's quite warm. So, yep. Phil Berry says, yeah, I saw that this morning. This club is ridiculous. Brian Casey says, oh my God, did anyone else see that? Robbie Williams got a Spurs jersey. Shocking revelation. Morning, Jay, says J5 here. Watching live from 13 metres in the air, working. Keep yourself safe, don't fall over watching my news, but glad to see you watching, and make sure everyone who's watching hits that like button. Should we talk about Wan-Bissaka? This is slightly more heartwarming news. This we've got it here in the evening news. I think it's come from the Telegraph. It says United intend to extend Wan-Bissaka's contract, according to the Telegraph. Wan-Bissaka is now in the final year of the contract he agreed when he signed from Crystal Palace in 2019, although the club have an option to extend it by 1 season. The report claims discussions have taken place in the last month over a new deal to keep him beyond that under a new long-term contract as a reward for his progression. I like Wan-Bissaka, and I like what he's done here under Erik ten Hag. Wan-Bissaka, when he came in under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I thought he was very good in those first few months, in that first season on the whole. I thought he had a good season. We all remember the games against Manchester City where he just absolutely pocketed Raheem Sterling. You looked at him and you thought, okay, we paid a lot of money for him, 15 million quid, probably overpaid a little bit, but initially, I remember doing an interview on the radio after his first dozen games and saying, this kid looks like he could play in a Sir Alex Ferguson team. That's how good he is. Then he went through a bit of a difficult time, didn't he? There was question marks about him going forward. His form was a bit erratic, to say the least. There was a few incidences where he kept getting beaten on the back post. He wasn't watching his man at the back post. It's still a bit of an issue now, to be honest. And people were saying, is he good enough? Ralph Rangnick, everyone was terrible. You can almost forgive that era. Then Erik ten Hag comes in, and it seems like Diogo Dalot is his guy. Diogo Dalot starts at right back most games, and everyone's sort of suggesting that Wan-Bissaka is going to be surplus to requirements. There was talk that he was going to go into January of, was it this year? Everyone was saying he was going to go back to Crystal Palace. He was linked with West Ham. United ready to take a sort of £25 million hit on him just to get him out the door. But he gets an opportunity, he gets a couple of opportunities, and he plays well. And from what we gather in training, he's been listening to the manager, he's been working on his game, he's been getting his head down. Before the FA Cup final, he was put up for an interview. It's very rare for him to do interviews. He's not the best interviewee, if we're being brutally honest. But I think Maka went down to the training grounds as Carrington and spoke to him. A lot of the other media did as well, because he was the player they put forward. And he did a very good job. He seemed confident. He seemed to be enjoying his football, playing a lot better, talking quite confidently, speaking confidently to the press. So it's just been a good time for Wan-Bissaka. I think he's one of those players you can look at and go, there has been progression under Erik ten Hag. You see players like him, like Marcus Rashford, arguably Luke Shaw as well. You can see how they've sort of stepped up a little bit under a manager who has a reputation for working with players, like trying to coach players and trying to get the best out of him. And you can see with Wan-Bissaka, the raw talent is there. It's just a few little kinks in his game you might need to iron out. Watching himself on the back, watching his man on the back post is one of them. Going forward, can he be a little bit better with his decision making? But he's getting there. So I'm all for this. Get involved in the comments and the chat and let us know what you think. Brian Casey says, absolutely well deserved for Wan-Bissaka. He's been amazing under Erik ten Hag. We all wrote him off last year, but he's the first choice right back now. Stephanie Griffith says, Wan's the man. Shows what you need to do. Get your head down and do your job. Yeah, Phil Berry says, take note, Sancho. That's been echoed by a few other people as well. Ishan Sawari says, how is Saka on the Ballon d'Or list? What on earth did he achieve? I was talking about this last night on Paddock Live. It annoys me a little bit that Bukayo Saka is on that Ballon d'Or nominee list. ahead of Marcus Rashford. I just think that it doesn't make much sense to me. Rashford scored more goals, he won a trophy, had a more productive season, and also carried his team for a lot of the season. Bukayo Saka had Martinelli and Odegaard, I think, scoring more goals than him in all competitions. Certainly, I think the same in the league. No one came close to Marcus at Manchester United. For a big part of the season, he was the only one scoring goals, and he scored some very important goals for us. Helps us win a trophy, helps us get to the FA Cup final. Obviously, helps us finish third as well. I know Arsenal finished second, but is that what you're basing it on? I just think that any metric you look at, Marcus Rashford had a better season than Bukayo Saka. I know it probably doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, because let's be honest, neither of them are going to win it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, Wan-Bissaka playing well, doing well. People saying Jadon Sancho can take note. There's a few stories on that front in the papers this morning. There's one here that says why Jadon Sancho's Man United career is at a crossroads. So this is by Rob Dawson in ESPN. And there's a quote here, and I was reading it, that sort of piqued my interest. It says sources have told ESPN that the Dutchman and his coaching staff feel particularly let down by Sancho after they believe, there you can see it there, after believing, that they went to extraordinary measures to help him last season. After noticing his form dipping and his mood dropping, Sancho was given indefinite leave away from the club and placed on an individual training programme in the Netherlands. It left Ten Hag short of numbers for a busy period of fixtures following the 2020 World Cup, but he insisted Sancho's physical and mental condition was more important. Now, I do feel like Erik Ten Hag has done all he can, or has been doing all he can with Jadon Sancho. To send him away to the Netherlands, giving him an individual training programme in the middle of a busy season, to go, look, you go and get yourself right. That is a big call by the manager. Also, he's tried him in different positions. He's tried him as a false nine, he's tried him on the right, he's tried him on the left. He's given him games, he's given him times when he's taken him off, he's given him times when he's brought him into the squad. And Jadon Sancho has never consistently performed for Manchester United, either before Erik Ten Hag arrived or since Erik Ten Hag has been here. And now you've got Jadon Sancho calling out the manager. I don't like it. And you might say, well, he's only responding to what the manager said. I thought the manager's interview, when he's asked about Jadon Sancho, wasn't that bad. It wasn't a Jose Mourinho way, threw him proper under the bus. He was quite honest. And he just said, look, in training, his levels weren't there, so he's not been picked. So I think Jadon Sancho's tweet and his response didn't help matters. And I think it was unnecessary. And I think now Jadon Sancho, really and truly, it's up to him to step up. If you don't believe the manager and you think what he's saying is wrong, and it's still his pinned tweet, by the way, Jadon Sancho's response, it's still on his Twitter, his pinned tweet. So it's not like he's contrite about it. It's not like he's going, oh, I shouldn't have done that. He's kept it up there. And it's his pinned tweet. So he obviously stands by the words that he said. I think we have to be honest about that. If he didn't, he would have deleted it. Or he would have at least unpinned it and gone, okay, I've had a chat with the manager or whatever. This is, I've had a chat with my team, or I've had a bit of guidance. Probably not the best move. But he hasn't. He's kept it up there. So I think you've got to look at that and go, he must be standing by his words. That's what I take from that. And Erik Ten Hag, obviously, from what we gather, is standing by his as well. So I don't think this is going to have an happy ending. And I think that it may well see Jadon Sancho move on from the club. Just on that front as well, he's been linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. You can see it here. Jadon Sancho sent Saudi offer after Man United bust up with boss Erik Ten Hag. The future of United winger Jadon Sancho looks unclear after he was axed from the squad by Ten Hag for the clash versus Arsenal following his performances in training. It goes on to say there he could move on, could move from Manchester United on Thursday, which is obviously today. Being linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. Obviously, Saudi Arabia transfer window is still open, so that could still happen. And it's saying here, Sport Italia are reporting that the Watford and Man City youth product could be set to seal a sensational last-minute switch to the Saudi Pro League that has wreaked havoc on European clubs already this year. The club remains unnamed, but has reportedly sent an official offer to Sancho's representative. It'll be interesting to see whether anything comes of that. That makes sense in a way. I think Rio Ferdinand suggested he could go to Saudi Arabia because obviously their window's still open, so he can get a move. He can get big money. He's already on big money. He could probably get even bigger money. The issue for him is it's not really an elite league, is it? Let's be honest. Despite what Jordan Henderson and some other people may say, go to Saudi Arabia, it's a massive step down. I think if you're looking in terms of the quality of that league, it's probably about League One level. I know you've got a few players in there like Ronaldo and Mahrez and Kante and others who are obviously very high. But by and large, that league isn't great. So if you go in there, your levels are going to drop a little bit, aren't they? And you're not going to be performing against or alongside some of the world's best players. So does Jadon Sancho want to do that at a relatively young age? Most of the players go there the wrong side of 30. Or does he look and go, look, I could go here for a couple of years, earn a shed load of money, come back and still have a career in the Premier League or in Germany or whatever. Also, as well, I don't know how much the England factor comes into it, because I think Jadon Sancho might look at it and go, I think my England time is done under Gareth Southgate. Gareth Southgate just doesn't seem to fancy him. And I think there was rumours and reports, I think we covered it, that there was issues around his time at England camp. Apparently during the Euros, I think it was when he got dropped, he wasn't happy. And people were questioning his attitude there in terms of the mood he was in and how that was affecting players around him. So he might not even consider the England factor. He might just be like, look, if I do go to Saudi, it's not like it's going to cost me my England players because I'm not in England squad or either. Anyway, so get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think about that. Brian Casey says it must be a decent league. Damari Gray has gone to join Hendo and Gerrard. I think he might be a bit tongue-in-cheek there. Andrew, you rate the league, hi Jay, League One, it's money league, that's it. Andy Ferguson says 350k a week for underperforming and not happy. He's put a clown emoji there. I think it's a clown. Is that a clown emoji or cat emoji? I can't tell. Sancho can join Piers Bottler Morgan, says GH1977. Also, there's a little story here in the rounds that he could go to Bayern Munich. So this was in the mirror there. You can see it, saying that potentially he could go to Bayern Munich. This sort of dropped last night. I don't know about that, to be honest with you. He could, and they'll look at him and go, what he done at Dortmund. Obviously, he can't go now because the German transfer window is shut as well. Maybe there's something in that. Maybe Bayern Munich might look at it and go, look, he smashed it in the Bundesliga. He smashed it at Dortmund. Still a young player. He's obviously not happening for him at Manchester United. We could get him here and he could do a job for us. But I think it's a lot of conjecture rather than anything solid there. So it'll be interesting to see whether he does end up going back to Germany. Maybe he looks at it and goes, look, the best football of my career was in Germany. It was in the Bundesliga. I could go back there and get my career going again. Or he might say, look, I'm going to stay here and fight for my place, which is what I'd want to see any Manchester United player doing. I'm going to try and prove the manager wrong. Or he might just say, look, I just want out of this club. And if that means go to Saudi, if that means going anywhere, just get me out of here. We'll have to wait and see. The chances of him going in this window, though, are very, very slim. Yes, the Saudi transfer window's still open, but other than that, I just don't see it happening. So he's probably going to be here till at least January, and now it's up to him to try and salvage his United career. It sounds crazy, doesn't it, saying that about a player who we were chasing for so long. He was obviously a big signing for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Came in with a great reputation, having got more or less a goal involvement every game in his last season at Borussia Dortmund, but he just hasn't reached those heights at all. I think he's been very, very inconsistent, and it's a bit sad, really. And this latest episode is just doesn't do anyone any favours, least of all Jadon Sancho. I just want to touch on one story, right? I saw this morning. I tweeted about it. I just think, what is going on at our club? This is in the Mail. It says Manchester United made convicted paedophile Jeff Knopper guest of honour at Old Trafford and celebrated his career despite him being banned from the game. Club were unaware ex-women's coach got 4 years for offences against girls. So this is a guy who was a coach at United ladies from 1983 until 2001. Was sentenced to 4 years in prison in 2011 after being convicted of indecent assault and gross indecency against kids, basically. And then he was invited back to Old Trafford, I think it was last year, as a special guest. Obviously, the club just not doing the due diligence and looking at what's going on here and finding out that the people they're inviting back as guests of honour have actually been to prison for sex offences. I mean, is there anything going on at this club that just doesn't make you feel a bit sick at the minute? They need to get a grip. It's just shambolic from top to bottom. Honestly, I despair, I really do. Every time I see Manchester United headline at the minute, I'm just like, God, what next? What now? Shouldn't be like that. We need to be a better run club. And the reason the club is run badly, it's not from the bottom up, it's from the top down. You look at the very top of the club, the people that are in charge and the way they're running this club, and it ain't great, it ain't good enough. And something needs to change. Seriously. Someone putting Ten Hag out, that's nonsense. And they're spamming it with Ten Hag out, and they're going to get put in a timeout for spamming. No. I think it was Paul Parker was saying something in an interview about the owners might look at getting rid of Ten Hag. Ten Hag's done a very good job at Manchester United. Do not get it twisted. It's not him. He's not the issue. We won a trophy, we finished third. He's brought in some good players. He's brought through some good youngsters as well. He's had to deal with some issues off the pitch. He's had to deal with some injuries as well. I think Ten Hag is doing a good job. I think he's the right man to take this club forward. Who aren't the right people to take this club forward are the owners. The owners need to go. We've said that for 18 years. I'm sick of the sight of them. The protests are going to keep going. Go and check out the 1958 because they will keep those protests going as well. And I'm sure there'll be more planned for the Brighton game, which is the next game after the international break. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the comments and the chat. Don't forget as well to hit like, share and subscribe. I'm Motty. This has been The Paper Talk, live from the studio. Thanks for watching.